Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to be asking the question, who is the biggest turkey in the NBA as a Thanksgiving special? But first, before we get into that, let's welcome the panel. NMB Sports, how are you today?
Doing good, man. Week by week, I'm feeling better about some of the things I've said throughout the season. So I'll start there, and then we'll get on with the show. But glad to be here as always.
Robin, Sports and Fitness Rants, how are you today, sir?
Yes, yes, man. It's great to be back once again. I want to send a happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Once again, guys, it's great to be back with you on another Sunday edition. And this is going to be a great episode because this is what we're always talking about in the turkeys and the way that these guys are acting and the current state of the NBA, man. So shout out to my man, Nick. Shout out to my man, Speem. The Czar AOH is in the house. And, of course, Dark, the ringleader. My man, everybody holding it down, man. You guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
Speem Engine, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. I did tell you in confidence to have me not go after Robin. So you're back here for all of that. I'm well. I'm happy to be here.
AOH, also with the LeBron is the B word. How are you today, sir?
Yeah. Sorry, still on the move. Got to do this, avatar thing while I'm on the move. But I don't even want to go second after Sports and Fitness Rants. I just can't match it. I just can't match it.
It's generational excitement.
Yeah. All right. So I guess, Nick, first, who do you think is the biggest turkey in the NBA right now?
Well, right now, I guess, it makes it a little bit more short term. But in the definition of, you sent us that definition of what you meant by a turkey, right? There's sort of like, there has to be a level of personal stupidity to it. And so for that, Ja Morant gets my nod for turkey of the NBA. It's kind of for his past antics, I know, but he just came back. But that's just my nominee. I think, as they said in 8 Mile, right, that Ja Morant's real name is Clarence, and Clarence's parents come from a real good marriage, right? This trying to be something you're not. This kind of, he's trying to be a gangster kind of thing. There's no such thing as halfway crooks, as they say. It just is so stupid to me what he did with the gun and all that. I just think that, in my opinion, when I think of a turkey, an idiot who kind of falls over his own feet, right? We give LeBron a lot of hate, but LeBron has an empire at least. LeBron's a billionaire, right? At least LeBron, you could say from some kind of objective view, the moves he's made a lot of money, right? And he's for however he's done, he's kind of stayed out of a negative press in terms of doing something really stupid like DUI or something like that, right? So I'll say that, and then my literal turkey is going to be Zion. He's my actual turkey. I just want to throw him out because I think, on the subject of physical turkey, he's quite literally, I think, about to eat himself out of the league. So he's my honorable mention. But Ja Morant's my turkey for his past antics and what he's done.
So real fast before we get to you, Robin, Politicus Rex is in the chat, and I only didn't invite you because I don't know how much you know about the modern players. But to be honest, he says, to be honest, my turkey of the NBA is Adam Silver. That's a good point.
I'm mad at
Very
it.
good point.
I'm mad at it.
But Robin, so who do you think is the biggest turkey in the NBA?
Well, I think the sad reality for the NBA right now is, unfortunately, what we see right now with what Nick just said, and then you see what Rex just commented about Adam Silver. And that reality is that there are several different options that we could throw out there and say, hey, this guy's a legit turkey of the NBA, or, this is a certain aspect of the NBA that, we don't really respect right now. So when we think about Nick and, him thinking about John Morant, I did not think about John Morant in that regard when I was thinking about some of the guys that I was going to maybe mention right now. But I think that's the reality, the sad reality for the current state of the NBA is that a lot of these guys, it's the collective of these guys. Because we can think about Zion Williamson. Absolutely, he can qualify as the biggest turkey of the NBA right now. You're literally representing the Jordan brand. That's what you're representing. I've actually done videos on my channel that really says to me that Michael Jordan should drop this man from his brand. Like, you're not representing at all what Michael Jordan is supposed to represent when you're putting that logo on and you're wearing those sneakers. Who would want to wear Zion Williams sneakers? When you talk about the fact that he can't even stay healthy to even be on the court, this is not about him not playing good. Oh, Zion Williamson's going out there and scoring 15 points a game and, getting a couple of rebounds. You're not even on the court, man. So once again, we have to think about that. That's a certain level of being a straight turkey, a clown right now for Zion Williamson. Because remember, coming into the season, they talked about how much weight he lost and the shape that he was in. But we could also think about guys like a Ben Simmons. Does he not qualify to be considered a turkey? All the money that Ben Simmons has gotten over his career and the lack of development. If you've watched Ben Simmons this season, he's still doing the same things. He's still scared to shoot those wide open layups. There's been several highlights or lowlights of Ben Simmons having wide open layups and he's kicking out to guys for 3-point shots and everyone's looking at Ben Simmons and the fans are mocking him. He's a turkey, Ben Simmons, man. No one respects this clown. You mentioned LeBron James and the things that we talk about on these Sunday shows and, the way that he carries himself. You can consider him being a turkey, but we can also go different angles here. We can go with ESPN. Isn't ESPN kind of a turkey publication? They become a laughing stock here, the way they cover the NBA. Weren't they the ones, in fact, that had LeBron James ranked 7th coming into the season? Ranked 7th. They're turkeys. Whoever came up with that ranking, you're a turkey. We can qualify ESPN in the way that they cover the NBA as being turkeys. We can also talk about Adam Silver. Now he's trying to come up with a way to change the All-Star game again. Listen, Adam Silver, once again, doesn't get what the NBA fans want. What the NBA fans want is for the NBA players to play regular NBA basketball out there in the All-Star game. We don't want a pickup style game. We don't want team captains. We want East versus West. We want a rivalry. We want that to matter. We want these guys to go out there and give the effort. They're calling 1, 2 fouls in the All-Star game, chucking them 80, 90, 100 threes. When I was watching the game, guys were fouling out of the All-Star game. They were actually fouling out. That's what was going on. So we talk about all these different players. To me, the turkey, though, is hands down is Joel Embiid. There's no bigger turkey right now when you talk about on the court, off the court. You were suspended on your day off. How do you get suspended when you're not even playing? You're a turkey. Look at the team. The Philadelphia Sixers are supposed to be title contenders, and they're the bottom of the league, man. Joel Embiid is the biggest turkey in the NBA right now. Hands down, it's him.
All right, Spin. Who's the biggest turkey in the NBA?
Come on. In the spirit of
you want it like this?
That's fine. There we go. At least I know when I'm getting screwed. I was gonna start with Brian, Windhorst in terms of like turkey-shaped people because he's losing weight now. But in my terms, it's too late. It's too late. Just accept it and accept the branding. I'm trying to narrow this down to one. I kind of want to narrow it down just to Paul George because I really, really liked him before he started publicly speaking, and a lot of how he's sounding on his podcast and how delusional he's sounding about, for example, the Clippers fan base and even the Indiana fan base is lunacy to me. I didn't really think about the context until he was comparing himself to Kawhi and saying that he should be getting paid what Kawhi gets paid. But I haven't heard anybody challenge that and say, well, Kawhi's a champion. Kawhi's a multiple-time champion. You, in no universe, should be getting Kawhi money. And if I remember correctly, his stats when he did play weren't that impressive. I mean, it was like 22, 6 and 4 or something like that. Not max numbers, certainly not max numbers. So for him to continue to live this delusion of max money and being a franchise player, like those days are over. And I will maintain that he didn't start acting like this until he shook LeBron's hand after the dunk on Birdman and after LeBron hit the half-court shot. I'm telling you, LeBron injected him with something or cursed him with something because he's been an idiot ever since. Just like Anthony Edwards has been an idiot ever since he played with him on the Olympics. I'm noticing a trend. I kind of want to narrow it
Well,
down.
turkeys do get injected with stuff.
What's that?
I said turkeys do get injected with stuff.
That's true. Well, I'm scared of what he's full of then. I don't care enough about Tyrese Halliburton to speak on him, but how he's moving now is shaky to me, and he's approaching that turkey. I'm gonna patent that turkey territory.
All right. AOH, who's the biggest turkey in the NBA right now?
Speed mentioned it doesn't matter if you go right after sports and fitness rants. The only thing that matters is that you go before sports and fitness rants.
Seriously.
But he has a good point. I mean, it's sad that there were so many options. I mean, it's really hard to choose which of these people is the biggest clown. And if we spent some time digging on it, we could pretty much probably find that most of them qualify as clowns, but we have the biggest clowns. Paul George, I'm very curious why I think people fell in love with the idea of Paul George, but I don't know what he ever did for people to actually be that big of fans. Like I have a friend that's like, oh, Paul George will give you this and this and this number. I'm like, okay, well, please, by all means, take him on your team and I will happily bypass because I know he won't get it done. Anyway, yeah, I won't spend too much time talking about how terrible the list is. Like when Nick was talking about stupid behavior, I was starting to think that he meant Anthony Edwards, just because Anthony Edwards is not physically capable of saying anything remotely intelligent anymore. But of course, it's Ja Morant. But wait a minute, look at all these other people. But I'm going to choose, just because I want to talk about him today, I'm going to choose JJ Redick. And
Nice.
he's not the biggest one out of them, but he needs to be talked about. And so I'm choosing him. So when you come back to me, I can do my JJ Redick bit.
Yeah, for me, I got to say that I think the biggest turkey, and I think it's been over a couple years because he seems to, well, for one, I think it's Joel Embiid, but that's already been talked about. But another guy I think is a huge turkey is Jason Tatum. This guy has the personality of a wet cloth. I mean, like a hand cloth. Like he goes and he mimics. He just shapes everything around these past NBA players. He goes, like the everything is possible thing with Kevin Garnett. He's always stealing lines from people. Like he pretends that he's these guys. And what does he do otherwise? I mean, they're doing well in respect to their record. They won the championship last year. But for somebody who really just mimics everyone else's personality because he lacks one, is kind of entertaining. And everyone's heard the jokes about it over the last couple of years. But really, just to echo what Robin is saying and just to double down on it, it's not even just Joel Embiid and Paul George, like Speeman mentioned. It's the 76ers at large, because over the last 10 years, we've doubled down on the process, and it's completely ruined the franchise's reputation as a hard-nosed, gritty city to play basketball in. And now we've got two of the biggest softies, or what's the man? I just lost it. What's the turkey brand? Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's Butterball. It's the biggest Butterball organization that there is in the NBA. I lost
Screw
it.
you guys.
It would have been better if I remembered that.
You look fat.
What's
Go ahead,
that?
sorry. I said screw everybody else on this panel for not speaking up and making me look like the fat one. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but it's the biggest Butterball organization in the NBA. I mean, now they drafted all these players. They traded most of them that they thought were going to be hits. They missed on a lot of them. And now you got Joel Embiid, who doesn't play back-to-backs. You got Paul George, who's constantly injured. It's laughable. It is the biggest turkey in the NBA, outside of what I think that we should talk about with Rex and what AOH had talked about, just kind of these leaders of the NBA, Adam Silver, I think has just really fumbled the NBA over the last 5 years. I think there was a good run for him, particularly with the NBA, with the Warriors and the Cavs. I'm not saying it was the best era ever, but I think that it was a good run. I think everyone would have to admit that, the ratings were doing pretty well. That rivalry, it's always good for the NBA. But now with the in-season tournament, the All-Star game just completely fallen apart. I think Rex is right. I think that Adam Silver might be the biggest turkey revolved around the NBA. What do you think about that, AOH? And you had mentioned JJ Redick as well.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for going to me, because I'm just curious what Jason Tatum has done that inspires people. I see a lot of people come to his defense and be like, "Oh, well, why do you guys hate on him?" And I don't, but I'm also like almost unaware of him, because what has he done that is just like, wow, I just have to watch this guy. Like I kind of get the sense that the Celtics would be successful with a replacement for him. He checks all the boxes, but at the same time, I'm just like, whatever makes you say, wow? But I don't want to waste my time on Tatum, but I'm curious if anyone listening wants to explain that. Whatever happened to just being blown away by somebody to where it was undeniable? Like you just had to be impressed by them and not start making, stop hating excuses. The Adam Silver thing, you could do it. We should probably do a show on this sometime in the future, because you hear some people try and say that it started with David Stern, and I'm not quite sure how they came to that conclusion. Adam Silver, I'm going to start talking about, the chicken or the egg thing. Did LeBron cause it, or was it their dedication to try and make sure that LeBron was finally their next GOAT that caused it? Because it seems like we talked about this before.
What do you got to say to all that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were. There was a pause.
I'm never done.
Spin, what do you got to say about?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What's up, Nick?
Nick is like.
I was just gonna say, yeah, real quick on. It's like when I think of a turkey, right? Just on Windhorse and JJ Redick, they haven't quite had like a comedy of errors to their downfall because of their stupidity. Not yet, right? Like Windhorse, kind of love him or hate him, he kind of did his own thing and got out, right? I mean, JJ Redick so far has fallen upwards, right? So I guess they're more weaselly. I think that's more of a proper way I kind of see them. They're kind of weaseling their way to get what they want. And so, like, so far, I don't see them as a turkey yet. They have not quite been put in the oven yet, if that makes sense. I think I understand what people are saying, but Redick so far has just kind of, fallen upwards, like I said, right? So I don't see him as a turkey yet. Like, I think it's coming, but that's just kind of how I see it.
Listen,
Since no, Redick is mine, and I didn't even get to talk about him.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about him, so I was just kind of maybe giving you something else to chew on or shoot back at.
Let the record show Angry Hoops is taking something from a black man again. Go ahead.
I want to laugh at it, but I don't even understand what you're referring to. I'm about to take away from a white man, JJ, but I hear people. I've heard some dialogues out there that make it sound like JJ is being praised just because he's white, or he's their boy, and everybody's praising JJ while Darvin Ham got thrown under the bus for and they have the same record and all that. I don't even think it's about JJ. I think it's about LeBron, because JJ and LeBron are closely associated. The JJ move, whether LeBron wants to deny it to his deathbed, is a LeBron move. Just like the Westbrook move was a LeBron move. And LeBron, if JJ is shown as a failure, then that reflects poorly on LeBron James. So are they defending JJ, or are they defending LeBron by pretending that JJ is good?
all right, listen. All right, it's very simple. JJ Redick can clearly be a turkey. We don't have to come like Nick. Why do you try to complicate things and try to come with a definition and say, well, he's not really a cooked, well done turkey? Like, no. Listen, you could be the turkey of the week. Let's say, for example, you have programs and shows. They'll say, oh, someone's the donkey of the day or someone's the idiot of the week. And because they said something dumb that week or they did something dumb that week, they're not saying that historically they're, turkeys. But think about, for example, AOH, my man, the czar. Let's think about something that you can go to his channel. Anybody out there in the comment section, you can go to my man's channel and you can see clearly JJ Redick being a turkey when he says that LeBron James is the only guy giving effort on the court. No one else. He said that in a post-game press conference. No one else gave effort but the 40-year-old LeBron James. That's what he said out of his mouth. When you clearly have video footage of LeBron James not giving effort. So guess what? In that instance, JJ Redick is what? He's a turkey. He's qualified to be a turkey and be called a turkey because you sit there actually on a damn conference and on a microphone and you tell everybody else on your team as the head coach, y'all wasn't giving effort, only the old man was, when you can clearly see his ass not getting back, not giving that effort. So what are the players supposed to feel? Damn, man, you gonna call us out, but you ain't gonna call him out? You're a turkey for that, JJ Redick. These are the kinds of things we're talking about. When we talk about Adam Silver, man, my problem with everybody always jumping on Adam Silver is simply this. Why everybody wants Adam Silver to hold grown men's hands. They want Adam Silver to be the guy to come in there and be the referee and check these guys back into place. The thing about it is he shouldn't have to do that. Now, yes, we could blame Adam Silver for not having a backbone and not really being a true understanding of what the fans need and what the game really needs. But you can't blame Adam Silver for having to institute a load managing guideline of flopping penalties. That's these fools, these damn adult professionals that are getting paid all this damn money. We must put responsibility at their feet. Even if David Stern was here, do you think that's going to make Zion Williamson get on the goddamn court? Hell no, man. These fools don't want to play.
Speem, I'm going to ask you to follow that.
What exactly, Gar? What would you like me to follow that with, other than like a towel to wipe Sports and Fitness's forehead?
What
about
Adam Silver, JJ Redick?
Well, no, I think that's the Adam Silver thing. I think is a strong point from Robin that these are grown adult men for the most part that make their own decisions. And I got to give you props, Robin, because I never thought about it like that. At the end of the day, these are adults. Legally, they make their own decisions and should live with the consequences. And that's not on Adam Silver. But I will say that under previous leadership, there was somewhat under Stern, there was somewhat of putting of the hammer down. When stuff took place. For however you want to see the clothing thing, when Iverson was wearing the do-rag and they switched up how players dress. For however you feel about it, Stern, he stood strong on it. There was no wavering. There was no, this is exactly what it is. And you're not getting that from today's leadership. So, while I think he is a weak goblin man person, it's not up to him. I do want to say, though, the Lakers fans in general, at least the LeBron fans, I should say, are collectively turkeys for not apologizing to Darvin Ham, writing him a letter, getting him gift baskets, getting him Christmas gifts, Kwanzaa gifts, whatever, Hanukkah gifts, whatever he celebrates, because that man's owed a huge apology. They put, and someone said this in the chat, they put all this stress and attention on that little tournament cup. If you think about it, Darvin Ham is right now more of a winner than JJ Redick is, and probably ever will be, if you go by those guidelines. So I don't hear any of the analysts apologizing to him. I don't see any fans saying anything. I don't see any Lakers saying anything. Collectively, I think they're the turkey. Darvin Ham should be a head coach. He should still be coaching the Lakers, quite honestly. He earned that, as far as I'm concerned, going through all that, drama and stuff. But yeah, I would say that's my most. Speed mentioned AKA Bomani Jefferson. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Move on to someone else.
Real quick on Silver, though, people need to remember, commissioners like Goodell and Silver, they represent the owners, right? And so as we have this evolution of players having more control, right? And the Players Association represents the players, right? But if we have this continuing evolution of players having more and more say, more and more control, that is going to influence the owners, and the owners will reflect that whatever they allow to happen, right? So that's why it's not just an Adam Silver thing. It is a cultural thing. It's way deeper than just one guy. And that's why I think this is kind of the other side of the coin of players getting more influence. They're going to tell the owners what they want, what the guys are saying. They want to be liked. It's now the banana boat culture. And so when they go to negotiate, those relationships will be reflected in terms of what they talk about and what they allow, right? So I just want to – people need to remember the commissioners represent the owners at the end of the day.
Nick is actually setting me up nicely because I wanted to go back to something Robin said, and Nick kind of touched on it. It's failure across the board at this point. You've got the players that aren't going to act like adults because nobody is spanking them into acting like adults. Well, where does that failure actually begin? Something's wrong with them if they as individuals don't want to do that, no matter who's in charge. But then you have whoever raised these players that are in the league right now, and we can point the blame at them and how many generations back that's gone. And we can look at the fans that don't care and are fine with it because they're exactly the same type of people as these players, except they're not rich. Like, stop hating. I don't want to be held accountable. And these people are my heroes because they don't get held accountable. I mean, where does it end and where does it begin? The owners, the owners get called out if they try to flex their power. Like my girlfriend and I were actually talking about how bad sports are, and she's like, maybe the coaches should be the ones that get paid a whole bunch and not the players. I'm like, well, that's going to bring a whole lot of hate. It's going to bring the master and servant argument back in. But if players are going to act like this when you give them all the money, then obviously giving them the money was a mistake. How do you argue with that? Giving them the money and the power led to problems. They aren't mature enough to handle being given those privileges. It's parenting. Here, we're going to give you some privileges because you have all this talent and you're going to bring something to the franchise. And what do they do with their privileges? They take a shit all over it.
Yeah, I wanted to add too with the Adam Silver aspect and the players union and player control. Not that I know the ins and outs of negotiations, but I understand what a union does in general, which is to be able to lobby for certain privileges, as said before. So when you have these guys, and there's obviously pushback by the team ownership, and I think part of that, and with the NBA at large, is that they did the 65 game for award thing that they've already had all these bonuses for. So I think that Adam Silver, to your point, AOH, with some of the proverbial spanking, is that I think they're trying to do things, but I think that they've let the discipline out of the NBA, or the will to win, the drive to do better. I'm not saying it's non-existent, but in respect to how it was in the past, they've got paid. All the players seem to be having a silver spoon in their mouth, so they don't really care if a lot of them don't even care. It seems. I think Kawhi already missed the 65 game mark. That came out recently.
Why should they care? What's his punishment? He's still getting rich. He still has a guaranteed contract. And if I can respond to, Adam Silver is trying. Well, look at how he's trying. The players, despite getting disciplined last year, are having a talk to about, hey, come on, show up for the All-Star game. They still didn't. So what's Adam Silver do this year? He tries to tweak the All-Star game. Let me ask all of you guys, was there ever anything wrong with the idea of an all-star game with the best of the best coming out there and competing in 5-on-5? No, the players are what's wrong. But what's Adam Silver doing? It's like, well, maybe if we adjust it like this, and if I find a way to accommodate these spoiled brat children that will pique their interest. This is a parent who's afraid to spank. He's trying to motivate the kids by giving them more incentives rather than saying, listen, you little shits, you're not earning this anymore. Now, what does he do? I don't know, but continuing to do all these tweaks and, gimmicks as Sports and Fitness Rant said, and that's exactly what it is. It's all these gimmicks to try and trick people into still caring about the All-Star game. There was nothing wrong with an All-Star game. The players are what ruined it. And Adam Silver is still trying to dance around the core problem that the players have become the actual problem.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yep.
I wanted to say something about like the player aspect of this. I feel like we must understand and talk about when we talk about the standards, and we're talking about these players, and we're talking about all the things. Think about what we're saying. When we talk about these, we're talking about the best players, the top guys in the league. When you talk about the NBA All-Star game being trash, we're not talking about the role players messing the game up, the other guys. We're talking about the best players, the top 15 or 20 guys in the league. These are the guys that are ruining the game. It's not necessarily Adam Silver or the fans or they changed the rules. Oh, this guy didn't have a dad growing up and he had no mama or he came from a certain aspect of an area of a world of the country, man. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It falls at these guys' responsibilities, man. I don't care about how much money they got, how old they were when they got the money. None of that matters. There's no excuses in life, man. Don't nobody want to hear this crap. It's on these guys as grown-ups, as professionals, as human beings, man, to understand life. When you go through life, regardless of your mama, your father, where you're from, the color of your skin, regardless of any of that stuff, we all are gonna go through things. And what happens as you go through these things in life? You learn. You learn from these things. And what happens as you go through this journey? You understand how you get respect from people, how you earn respect by holding yourself to certain values that you see going through that very life. So when we talk about LeBron James making a decision, what is he doing? He's setting the example. He made that decision to do that. That falls on him not having a dad and him not doing this or that. That goes on him. He did that. So in turn, what happens? You have Kevin Durant come back in 2017 and pretty much make the same decision. He made that decision. That's on Kevin Durant. That's why we clown him. That's why no one respects him. That's why he makes burner accounts to go back at the fans, because he understands he feels guilty in his mind because he knows he cheated the game. So when we talk about Ben Simmons, you mentioned Kawhi Leonard. What did Kawhi Leonard do? He made decisions to not play for the San Antonio Spurs, to be a diva, to not go see the doctor, to not talk to David Robinson, to not talk to this guy, to not talk to that guy. He didn't want to have to do with nothing. He had his uncle speaking for him. He made those decisions. He didn't speak for himself like a grown man. So what do you have now? You have guys like Ben Simmons out here. You got the Joel Embiids. You got the Luka Doncic's. You got what's going on, load management, because the star players are doing this. They're setting the example. When we talk about James Harden and he's requesting trades to leave Houston, he's requesting trades to leave Philadelphia. He's doing that. He's setting the example. He's making that decision for all the other clowns behind him to think it's okay. It's on those fools, man.
5-second response to Robin. He talked about learning. He talked about growing up. How do you learn if there aren't any consequences? Don't consequences lead to—
Absolutely, consequences lead.
So do these guys face any consequences?
They face consequences every single day. These guys face consequences. That's why we're here.
No, I mean consequences that would actually change their behavior, like their paycheck being deducted, things like that.
Well,
See,
just
this is
real
what I'm talking
quick.
about, the standard. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessary that you have to be punished for doing something. Like, so LeBron James have been punished for making the decision. There's no
Yes.
punishment for that.
He
But
should
what we're
have.
talking about, when LeBron James tells us to go back to the boring lives, he was upset. Why? Because people were turned against him and rooting against him. That was his punishment. That was the consequence. They were rooting against you. That doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but that was the consequence. He couldn't live with that, though, so he lashed out the fans. But he had consequences to these things.
There's two major ways you learn stuff, and that's through repetition and that's through pain. And then respect the consequences. If you don't get any pain for it and you have this repetition that you're able to get away with things, then they learn that it's okay to go and keep doing what they're doing because they're not being held accountable and they're not learning through pain. Repetition is what you can do, whether it's positive or negative. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you're not held accountable, then that's what it is. I just want to inject that real fast. Hey, wait, you were going to say something?
No, I think you kind of followed it up.
Yep. All right. Real fast. I think that. So somebody asked about this before. So I'm going to be having a live debate later tonight. Bob Cousy versus Steph Curry. Who's greater? I think everyone could guess who I'm arguing for. Bob Cousy. I don't think it's particularly close. That should be starting at around 5:30 Hawaii Standard Time. I don't know what that is Eastern. So 11:30.
What's that for the rest of the
Eastern
world,
Standard
Dark?
Time. 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you.
Who versus who?
Or no. Versus this LeBron fan named Ishmael.
Bob Cousy
I
versus
don't
who?
know.
Steph Curry.
Yeah. I
That's
feel
a
that
tough
I'm
one right
punching
there,
up,
my man,
especially
Dark.
with where I'm doing it. It's the judges. We'll see. We'll see if they take my case, but I'm telling you, I'm going to have a great argument. It should be starting on a Casual Sports Fans channel, starting around 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Are you
Or what
debating
day?
who's the greater point guard or who's the greater player?
The greater player.
Oh yeah, you in trouble.
What's the day, Dart? Which day?
That's tough,
Today,
man, tough.
tonight. I think I got a great argument. I'm not sure if I'll win. Apparently, I'm the overwhelming favorite, but I don't know where that was told by one of the guys that organizes this stuff. But I don't know. I feel like that is I feel like that's untrue. I feel like I'm punching up in this situation, but I feel that I can make a great argument for it. I just want to inject that. What's up?
I'm a Bay Area guy. I've watched Steph Curry do some things that left my mouth hanging open. He's incredible. But before I would ever say that he's better than Cousy, I would say you better go and learn about Cousy. And that's what the younger people don't do. They don't bother to even find out exactly what Bob Cousy was about or what Bob Cousy accomplished or what his game looked like before they make the decision. I'd be
That's
amazed.
why I say if you're debating who's a greater point guard, then absolutely, you could absolutely make that debate easy because Bob Cousy literally is one of the great point guards in NBA's history. Steph Curry's not necessarily a point guard, but we're talking about the player and the impact on the game, man. It's tough, man.
I won't go and run through everything right here because I think it will detract from this, but I think I can make a strong argument. I may not win, but I think the bottom line is people will learn a little bit about Cousy at the very least. So
yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely, Dart.
With that said, are y'all ready to take some callers or
He wanted to talk about JJ Redick.
Oh yeah. More JJ Redick?
Well, I inserted it. I said it.
I'm
cheating.
Zion.
Are you talking to me?
No, whatever. I do have one more thing to add to the Zion thing whenever you're done.
Yeah, I use JJ Redick as an excuse. He's not the biggest turkey, which the only reason he's not the biggest turkey is because the league is so full of incredible overstuffed turkeys. But I was just curious. I just wanted people to chime in on whether or not this is about protecting LeBron or protecting JJ himself via protecting JJ.
Speaking before, if you want to go because you don't get the chance to go before Robin.
Right. No, that's the main reason I'm doing this. I'm just coming up with a BS reason to talk. No, one thing about Zion is if he does go to a major market team and he all of a sudden gets in shape and all of his averages go up, I hope he is just like booed out of every stadium because part of me thinks, and I don't know the man personally, but he's walking around smiling and joyful when he's intentionally not doing what he's asked to do, even to fulfill contract obligations. And, if he goes to the Knicks, for example, and the ball's out and gets in shape, it's like, yo, dude, that's whack. That's weak for you to completely fold. That would be like Ben Simmons out of nowhere, just coming up and being able to make layups and jump shots because he's, now he's on a I guess a contender is a better word for it. But he's doing this. He's acting like shout out to AOH again. He's acting like a pouting child. He's not going to get punished for it, no matter what they say. And just seeing his fat body, with a Mount Zion tattoo. Well, I'm fat. I shouldn't say that. Seeing his body with a Mount Zion tattoo on his back, and it's like, bro, like I don't feel like you've earned that. I don't feel like you've earned the right to do that. That's like the chosen one tattoo. It's to me, stuff like that is corny, but it's a new generation. I just want to get that off my chest. If he comes out, goes to a major market team, all of a sudden balls out, gets in shape, and I have several pairs of his sneaks. I will just donate them.
Oh my God!
I'm not going to burn them because I'm not stupid, but I will donate them.
Well, this goes back to just your personality at the core. Like, does anyone here think that Michael Jordan was happy when he was injured? It was driving him fucking crazy. It was driving him fucking crazy when he was injured. And I've said in past shows, I think Michael Jordan would be bored out of his mind. I think he would have gone straight into retirement if he played in this generation. I think he truly had it deep inside of him, was raised properly enough, and had the competitive drive in him to where if he was on the court with these fools right now, he wouldn't even be able to stomach it. I do not think he'd fall in line. Maybe I'm being fantastical and I just want to believe that. Maybe I'm just wanting to believe that things could be better and the past was better. But I just can't picture Michael Jordan actually enjoying today's league, even if you did the time portal thing and dropped him in here in his prime.
Time machine basketball, my favorite. Oh. No, you're good. You're good, Robin.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say you guys made a good point. Dart, Speam, AOH. You guys are bringing up the personalities. Dart, you were talking about Jason Tatum earlier and the lack of personality, the demeanor of some of these guys, and I think that's a big part of the NBA and the way that we look at the game and the way that we view some of these players. And the lack of respect, so to speak, that we have for some of these guys in their overall games is because they don't really have the personalities of some of the guys that we mentioned as, coming up before, this era. When you talk about some of those great players, not only were they great because, their game on the court, but they also had really great personalities. Whether you liked them or not, you still respected them overall. A lot of people didn't like Charles Barkley's personality in the 90s and stuff like that, but that was what made Charles Barkley so great. There were so many people that liked Charles Barkley because, think about him today. He's literally one of the biggest people on TV because of the way that he speaks and the way that his personality is such. So when we talk about some of these guys and the commercials that they had back in the days, it wasn't just Michael Jordan. There were other guys like Larry Johnson that had really great commercials. When we talk about Grandmama and the endorsements that he had, people forget about some of these guys. Even someone like a Derek Coleman and some of the commercials that he had. We remember Penny Hardaway and the Little Penny commercials. We all know Shaquille O'Neal and the personality that was Shaquille O'Neal in the 90s. You just think about some of these guys and the way that they were out there, the way that you can market them, that goes to the level of the respect and the way that the fans, love that game, that connection that, we had.
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Did you hear Grandmama apparently doesn't like that he was in those commercials?
I heard about that, yeah.
I don't know. That whole thing was weird to me.
A lot of that stuff now is all this, hindsight, and these people, once again, it's part of the weird culture now because God forbid, now you get accused of certain things because you did certain things, man. When at the time, I remember he was on, there was a show called Family Matters. I don't know if you guys remember Family Matters with Steve Urkel and stuff like that. But Grandmama was on that show. He actually made a cameo on that show in the 90s, man. Like, no one looked at Larry Johnson a certain way. Or,
No.
I said, as a kid, as a teenager growing up, man. And like you said, now all these years later, guys feel a certain way now because the way society has gone, it's gotten a little bit out of hand. We all know that.
Did I do that?
Exactly.
That's what LeBron says when somebody catches him in a lie. Anyway, Nick, what?
That's good. That's good. That's a good one.
Nick.
Yes.
Nick, do you have anything to add to this? I know you've been quiet lately.
No, I understand what AOH is saying though in terms of defending Reddick's really kind of like defending LeBron, which I understand that angle of it as well. But no, I don't really have much to add. I think Zion deserves a little more criticism. It's absolutely sad what's become of him. It's really, a lot of times it's injuries or unfortunate events. Someone gets hurt on the court or something, you give him a little bit of a pass. But yeah, it's quite sad. I think pathetic is the word, really. Yeah, pathetic is the word.
Did you call him
about
Big
the
Bag
JJ
Zion?
Redick thing, I wanted to say about the JJ Redick thing real quick. When we think about, like you said, are we giving him enough credit, or does he get too much credit? Is he going to get any blame? Things of that nature. When I think about the Los Angeles Lakers this season, this is actually the first season that Anthony Davis is leading the team in shots per game. He's actually attempting more shots than LeBron James. This is actually the first season that's been that way. So we could point to JJ Redick and say, oh, maybe JJ Redick is trying to incorporate Anthony Davis and the other players more. The only problem with that statement is the fact that LeBron James is still playing more minutes than anybody else on the damn team. Why is LeBron James leading the Lakers in minutes? They should not. This is what I'm talking about. If JJ Redick was really coaching the Lakers, like I'm talking about coaching to win games and be consistent, LeBron James should be averaging 22, 25 minutes a game. That's what he should be averaging out there every night. Because the less of LeBron James you have on the court standing around and not playing any defense and turning the ball over 5 times a game, then the less of a chance you have for him to be goofing it up and jacking your game up. So once again, if JJ Redick was really coaching to win games, then Anthony Davis should be taking probably 20 shots a game, not 17, and LeBron James should not be leading the team in minutes.
Yeah. I mean, did people actually think Darvin Ham was blind, dumb, didn't understand that Anthony Davis was his best option? Of course he did. Of course he did. His hands were tied, and JJ's are less tied, and yet, despite being less tied, you have LeBron out there when it comes the fourth period coming in and fucking everything up.
AOH, I got a super chat for $2 Canadian, which, what is that, 30 cents?
Is there a tariff on that?
I don't know. With a tariff? YouTube tariffs. Anyway, the Cameron Peterson asked, who's your favorite role player of all time?
Oh, wow. God, forgive me for not knowing the answer.
That's a great question.
Can I think
Jason
about
Terry is mine for obvious reasons.
So many great role players.
Scottie Pippen.
No, Pippen's not a role player. I don't think. Yeah.
Whatever good I ever had to say about Pippen, he undid with his behavior. Scottie Pippen caused me to go back and look at Scottie Pippen's career and think, wait a minute, you aren't all that.
Pippen was a role player in his own marriage. You can't even talk about him. Leave him out. He's out.
Dennis Rodman?
Ouch.
Is Chauncey Billups considered a role player?
I think if someone's
Chauncey
critical
Billups?
to what you do, I don't call them a role player. So that's just me. Like, so for Rodman, I don't know if he would fit role player. Maybe in
Never
his
even made an all-star team in the second three. He was a role player on that team.
Yeah, but he's still got like 15 boards a
Nick,
game, you know?
If Scap,
It's like without him, that's a huge part of their game that's gone. It's more like critical in a way, I would say. But he's close. That's a good barrier, I think, for role player or not.
If Scap
I'm
was
gonna
here,
say
I would
Jamal
say that
Crawford.
Derek Fisher.
Yeah, Derek Fisher. Yeah.
That's a good one, yeah.
Robert Horry.
I'm saying Jamal Crawford.
Robert Horry might be, yeah.
If Johnny Arnett was here, I would say Kobe Bryant.
Is Manu Ginobili a role player? He came off the bench.
I would have to say, yeah. He kind of fits that Jason Terry mold a little bit. Like,
Yeah, I know the San Antonio Spurs love some Manu Ginobili.
Man, he was. That's another good one. That's another good barrier, a good example.
He was a flop artist. I will say that. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm a Ginobili guy, but he was a
Danny
flop
Ainge,
artist.
one of the great role players.
Yeah.
Speaking of some of our contemporaries, do you all know who the real mind crime is?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking, you don't know who he is?
I don't know.
What do y'all think about him? I was thinking about inviting him to the show.
He's dope.
You like him? Yeah, I'll go check him out. I'm thinking about shooting him an email, see if he wants to come through someday, if he's interested in that. But yeah.
Okay.
Are y'all good if I drop the link, or y'all want to discuss something else before that?
No, drop it.
Let's do it.
All right, the link has been dropped.
And while he's dropping
But
that,
also-
I will say I feel totally vindicated right now. The Bucks are back to top 5. I said that would happen, and the Warriors are out of the top 3 in the West. So I said that would happen. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yo, Steph Curry's been getting hurt a lot this season. I got him in my fantasy team, man, and he's been missing a lot of games so far early in the season, Steph Curry, man. So, yeah, the Warriors have been a little bit, a little inconsistent lately, man. But, yeah, it's good
And
to
the
see the Bucks
Mavericks
bounce
are-
back.
Mavericks are rolling without Luka. They look. I had said earlier, I think in terms of deepness, they're probably a top 3 roster. So I feel a little vindicated on that too.
Yeah, Kyrie stepped it up.
They beat some quality teams too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
it's
Buddy
funny,
Hield-
man, because you'll see one team one night win, and then the next night, that same team, like I saw the Phoenix Suns blow out the Lakers, and then the next night they get beat by the Brooklyn Nets without their best player. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
There's too much of that. I don't know what to think at all about these teams.
Yeah, but isn't that the parity that everybody's been kind of looking for the
Yeah,
last
but you
like
shouldn't be getting
18
blown
years?
out. Like you're beating a team by 27, and then you get beat by 27. That's not parity. That's inconsistency.
Well, I was gonna say lack of effort and no killer instinct, because once they go
And
down,
like I
that's
said,
it.
Brooklyn was missing their best player. It's weird to me sometimes.
So for talking about parity, I think that especially with 30 teams, you can't have parity because you're going to have top heavy teams. They're going to end up winning a bunch of games. Even though in the 50s and 60s Celtics, I think that had the most parity, even though there were less teams, because it was more potent. You can argue that. A lot of people will disagree with that. But when you got guys like Dolph Schayes, Bob Pettit, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, all these really heavy hitting names, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, John Havlicek, all these guys, Wes Unseld, to me, like when you have a whole bunch of these heavy hitting guys that are spread across these 8 to 12 teams, I think that's more parity, even though there's less teams. You got all these heavy hitters. The Celtics won, and there were some free agency things that kept them in place. However, I think that in respect to the top heavy talent in the league, that is truly more parity. And in respect, again, the context of the times, there was all these free agency rules that didn't really exist. So
Are
there's a
you
difference
sound
there.
insane right now to argue that the 60s was the most parity in the NBA when you had one team win 8 in a row? Stop the nonsense right now, man. And listen, everyone knows that the 70s, when you could argue, was the most parity in the NBA's history. When you had all these different teams winning championships and you didn't have these top-heavy teams and you had more teams and the talent was more spread out. It's the same thing that we talk about when they argue that the 90s was a watered-down NBA. What they argue of a watered down is they're trying to use watered down in place of parity. That's what made the 90s so nice and so great. The balance of the league. When you talk about the Eastern Conference, there were a bunch of formidable teams in the East throughout the 90s. And the way you can prove this and what highlights this is when you look at the playoffs. When you look at the playoffs throughout the 90s, what you notice is a lot of those first rounds went 5 games. Oftentimes, a lot of those second round matches went 7 games. A lot of those Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, they went 7 games, a lot of those matchups, man, because all these teams were close. The Utah Jazz, the San Antonio Spurs, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets. All of these teams were formidable in the 90s, man, at one point in time. They all won 60 games at one point in time. That's called parity in the league because every team had a star player on it, man. That's what makes the teams in the 90s so great. That's why it's called the golden era of NBA, man, because that's why Michael Jordan is so respected, because those other guys did not win.
Case in point.
I want to retort real fast because within the 50s and 60s, it's widely known that Bill Russell won a ton of game 7s, a ton of elimination games. If they were close, he just won every single one of them. He only lost 1 elimination game in his entire career out of 19. So I'm just saying.
They won 8 championships in a row. They won 11 championships. 11. And you're going to argue parity? You can't argue it. You can't do it. There's no
There
parity
wasn't.
there. Dude, you have a bunch of great teams. I'm not saying they didn't beat anybody. They weren't great teams. Yes, they were great teams because, like you said, you have a few teams and all the players are on
Yeah,
these teams.
and I added the
The
context
parity?
that it was in respect to the free agency. You can't. Yeah, I agree. But in respect to the free agency, yeah, that's what made it not have the parity. But I was saying in respect to the top heavy talent, I was just retorting the aspect that it wasn't even close. There were a lot
Kareem
of close series.
Abdul-Jabbar won 5 MVPs in the 70s. He won 5 freaking MVPs in the 70s. And he won 1 damn championship and 5 MVPs. His team wasn't sniffing the championships because there were so many great teams. There was a balance in the league. It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What do people say? Oh, he ain't had nobody on the team. It was him by himself out there. That's called parity, man. Kareem couldn't lead his team to the championship, but he won 5
Robin.
MVPs.
The Last Dance didn't even have room to fit in the Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning Miami Heat. And those were great games. That's how good the 90s were. Didn't even have room for that matchup between the Bulls and the Heat in the Eastern Conference playoffs to fit into the documentary. That's how many great teams and competition was going on. How does Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning not get included at all? Because there's no room. I mean, does that not tell you something?
The most 60-win teams in any era in the history of the game was in the 90s. Most 60-win teams. There was the most 55-win teams in the 90s. That's called parity. That's many. It wasn't just the Bulls. There was the Utah Jazz. There was the Orlando Magic. He just mentioned the Miami Heat that won 60 games in the 90s. You had the Portland Trailblazers who won 60 games in the 90s. You had a bunch of teams, man, that won 60 games in the 90s. The Phoenix Suns, the Orlando Magic. There was a lot. The New York Knicks. There was a lot of great teams, man.
Thank God they weren't
90.
paying those guys more. We might have all suffered.
Nobody is calling in. It's because
I'm doing too much yelling.
no, I it because a lot of the guys that come on my channel hate watch. So I think a lot of them don't want to.
So they should
in.
call up then.
They should. I was
call
going
up.
to say, have them call in.
We can
Come
talk
on,
about
guys.
anything. Yeah.
I'm cool with hate watchers. Like you can go and you can talk all the crap on my channel about me and about everyone else as long as it's not over the top, like racist or anything crazy like that.
What time is your debate?
All
2 in the
that kind
morning?
of stuff. Otherwise,
What time is your debate?
what's that?
What time is your debate?
Oh, it's
Right.
well, the guy who's running it shot me a message earlier saying he wants me to get with him. It's supposed to be 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Not my actual. It's like a series of debates. I keep saying like a kid. It's a series of debates that's going to start around then. I'm going to be the main event. So it won't start exactly then. I don't know how long it'll be. It'll probably be, if I had to guess, it's 3-minute rounds. So I would guess after the judging happens that it probably at the earliest happen an hour after that. I think there's 3 matches.
I'll be tuning in. I will not be sober, but I will be tuning in.
Are you sober now?
No. No, I'm on the medicine website right now picking stuff to go pick up.
Oh,
No, for real.
platform it's on.
No one called up.
No one's calling in.
I'm going to hang up and pretend to be someone that doesn't agree with Robin.
Do it.
Someone said my Cowboys suck, and that is true. I don't know what they expect me to say about
Yeah,
that.
listen, I'm a New York Giants fan, man, so I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah. No
Eagles are doing
argument
well.
here. You are what your record says you are.
Yeah, tell them to call up, man.
No.
AOH calling from Cybertron.
Or we could start talking about JJ Redick again.
Yeah, I get.
Oh,
Listen, I think we can all agree, though, that Joel Embiid is clearly the biggest turkey of the NBA so far this season, man. Come on, man. There really can't be no argument against Joel Embiid, man.
and you know what, Robin?
I don't know. Zion. I think Zion. I don't know. I guess the thing is, like, Joel Embiid's won an MVP.
For
You know what I mean?
a reporter.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did forget about that. That's fucking pretty bad.
A
I guess
reporter
just
that
the eating thing
quoted
is crazy to me.
a reporter that quoted shit that Joel Embiid had said himself.
I mean, it's crazy, man. You can't make this stuff up, man. And when you think about it, Joel Embiid playing in the Olympics, but not being able to play in the NBA season. And remember, coming into the season, they made an announcement, why, for whatever reason, I don't know, that they said that Joel Embiid was never going to play back-to-back games ever, really. He's never going to do that. So you just came out and made him look like a turkey. He can't play back-to-back games? Come on.
The
We got
76ers.
Kings.
No, sorry.
I was going to say we got King's Speech here calling in. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Hey, what up?
Yeah, man. I just
Great.
I just wanted to get in and jump in on a little bit. Like y'all were debating which era had the most parity. I think both of you guys are right. When it comes to the 60s and the 90s, like the only thing when you said that Bill Russell had all the game 7s, and it was a lot closer than people realized. It wasn't the fact that the Boston was just like laced with talent and nobody else had talent. I mean, as Jerry West famously said, I was about 6 plays away from winning 5 championships myself. A lot of those Lakers series were close. They played they played 7 times, 7 or 8 times. And a lot of, he said 5 plays go the other way. I got 4 rings, at least 4 or 5 rings. So it wasn't like the Celtics they just found a way to win every time.
Right.
And so
that's a great point. The point that I'm making, and you actually just made my point. So they went to all those game 7s and they won because of a couple of plays. But why did they win? Because of those couple of plays. Because of guys like Sam Jones, because of guys like John Hondo Havlicek, because of guys like Tommy Heinsohn and guys like Bob Cousy. So when we talk about those couple of plays, if they gave out the Finals MVP award back in them days, the things that we would realize is that Bill Russell would have 11 championships, but he wouldn't be the Finals MVP every one of those seasons. So the point that I was making is that the Boston Celtics was so great because they had great players, and they had so many great players at each position. They didn't just have great players that, stepped in each other's toes, so to speak. Remember, think about it.
they were great
Sam
coaches.
Jones was known as Mr. Clutch before Jerry West was. And why was he known as Mr. Clutch? Because he was knocking down big-time baskets out there in the games, man.
Look, Red Auerbach was a genius. He put that team together expertly, and to your argument, because you didn't have free agency, that team could stay together for the whole length of time. And Red Auerbach was just when Cousy retired, they replaced him expertly. Bill Russell himself, stepped up and did more to facilitate after Cousy retired. If you look at the assist numbers and everything, I would guess that Russell, just looking at the numbers, probably would have won at least 5 or 6 of those Finals MVPs. Because there was one run that I saw where they played 2 rounds, and he had almost 30 rebounds a game. I think that would be the record for a single playoff run. He had 29.9 rebounds a game. The guy was a monster. The guy was a monster.
Listen, I'm not arguing against Bill Russell at all, man. You're on the money with everything you're saying. I think Bill Russell is arguably the greatest player of all time. And I'm not saying that Bill Russell wasn't the catalyst for those wins and that, they would win without Bill Russell. None of that stuff, man. Because Bill Russell, like I said, he was the leader. Think about it. The man was coaching and winning championships simultaneously.
Yeah,
so
that's the crazy part.
Word.
King's Speech, your quote from Jerry West made me think about LeBron James. I'm going to bring it back to LeBron James.
Oh, of course, please do.
It's the woulda, shoulda, coulda, almost era where people want to give people accolades for almost doing it. Everybody's like, 10 straight finals is more impressive than winning finals. I'm like, how many people throughout history could say, well, I almost, and I almost, and I almost. This is what great competition is about. You didn't have the guy to get you over the hump. And that's what LeBron James represents. He's not the guy to get you over the hump. He's the guy to take a cakewalk through a bullshit easy conference as he hops to teams that give him the best chance and then fail once he gets there.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Can we celebrate the in-season tournament winner this year? Will the king allow us to celebrate, since he's quoted as saying it doesn't mean nothing, even though we had him popping champagne bottles last year?
I'm
Even though,
celebrating it. I got my goggles in the back. I'm
I mean,
celebrating.
my Knicks play Orlando on Tuesday, and for a chance to I guess we got to win that to advance. And if I might want to hang a banner. I haven't hung one since Willis Reed. I'm just saying, do we have permission to celebrate the in-season tournament now that
I pray.
LeBron
As
is
long
on
as
it?
they don't hang it next to the 70s Knicks championship banner.
Of
You can't
yeah,
hang it next to that legit banner.
No
of
team
course,
after the Lakers hung it. I don't think any team will have the balls to do this, but
exactly.
I'm praying that they don't hang it, and they're like, yeah, this is great, and it doesn't mean anything, just like Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant said.
Do like they do with the championship they won over there in Saudi Arabia. They just leave it there in Vegas and let it put it up in a museum.
Exactly.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He's so pathological. He's such a pathological liar. For a 40-year-old man. You got a son in the league now. Well, again,
He's somewhere.
did y'all see Kwame Brown cook Gilbert Arenas on that whole subject? And
Yep.
Gilbert like basically had to hang up the phone before he had to admit that he's on LeBron's payroll. That was so bad.
Yeah, no, but Ronnie has a heel contusion. You forgot.
Right.
That's a big deal.
Oh, the
And
heel
you can't
contusion. Yeah.
Right,
I'm
because
so-
you can't prove a heel contusion. That's like saying he has a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
New words.
Shout out to
Can I
Quincy
piggyback
Olivari,
off,
man. Get that man a roster spot.
Amen.
Real quick, I want to piggyback off what AOH was saying about the effort. Everyone's just rewarding the effort. Ja Morant, his fan base is a prime example of that, because I've never seen so many highlights of almost dunks in my life. In my history of watching the league, and I'm 39 years old. I've probably been watching it for maybe 30 years. I've never seen so many highlights of almost finishing a play. And I have to think that he thinks that too when he's going up for one of these stupid ass dunks, because he's just looking for the highlight. He's looking for the being praised for the effort. And I think that could be a reason he's hurt all the time. You know what I mean? It's like when people would, clap for someone crossing somebody over, but then they shoot an air ball. It's like, we're not used to rewarding that.
Does Amen just have a good take?
Yes, I did.
Cybertron is back.
Yes, I did, Optimus Prime.
So the ratings that came out, is that are the ratings really that bad?
This is something. Well, I mean, simply they've been so. I keep saying man. I feel like a kid again.
What are you, Clueless?
So the numbers that. What's that?
You in that movie Clueless?
Yeah.
So real quick, it says here through the first month of this year, the viewership is down 28% year over year this time last year.
Wow, that's terrible.
Look, we have billions more people on the planet than in the 90s, which is crazy by itself. So even with all the pirating excuses, just the sheer number of human beings available to watch, the ratings should be up.
I mean, they took StreamYard down.
Well, there's also something that got brought up, because I talked with FYF some time ago. I went on a show when he was talking about ratings, and the Nielsen numbers. A lot of these LeBron fans or apologists at the very least will say, well, the Nielsen numbers don't account for streaming. Yes, they do. I'm not saying they account for pirating, but according to the Nielsen website, if you take 5 seconds to go to their website, it accounts for streaming platforms as well. So, if you want to count the pirating, that obviously that's unaccountable for, because you don't know who's stealing it. But the point of it is that in respect to the, some of the numbers that came out is that the women's college tournament with the NCAA, it did better than a lot of NBA games. And I
Mhm.
think it was during the Christmas
Fucking
time,
crazy.
that you know what I mean? Like, and that's on legit
Yeah.
television. So you're telling me that otherwise people are watching it
I mean, listen,
as
if you
much.
think about LeBron James, he's supposed to be the face of the NBA over the last several years, the last 2 decades, essentially. It's been them promoting LeBron James, man. But if you think about LeBron James and his celebrity, it comes into question sometimes. LeBron James could go out in public today and he could get booed. He could literally go out in public and get booed at a venue because people feel a certain way about him. He gets mixed reviews, so to speak, when he goes out in public. You guys ever seen Michael Jordan go out in public and get booed? You ever see him go out and maybe get some murmurs or, people kind of question Michael Jordan? No, wherever he goes, they're dying all over the place, man. He goes to Cleveland for the 75th anniversary, and they applaud this man like he never hit the shot in 89, like he never broke their hearts in 1991 or 92. These are the kinds of things that they do when Michael Jordan goes out in public. Did you ever see Magic Johnson get booed or Larry Bird go out and get booed when he goes out in public, man? LeBron James, his appeal in public is not really like that, man. This is why people, I mean, listen, I don't see LeBron James jerseys out there when I go out like that, man. I just don't see them out there like that, man. And I'll tell you right now, when I play
You
basketball,
will in the
I don't see
Philippines.
nobody wearing his shoes.
That's funny. Oh man, that's a good one.
Hey, can someone explain to me the Filipino obsession with LeBron James? It seems like
Oh,
it's
No,
particularly
no, they're-
strong.
no,
they love
it's
everything
just-
Lakers.
it's just basketball. So
Yeah.
I've spent time in Southeast Asia, and the four main jerseys is Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. And but I've even had Filipino guys come on. I've done interviews with Filipino people on my channel, and they say that Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Now, granted, the guy that I interviewed was a government guy. He was an older guy. Probably, if I had to guess, I didn't ask his age. I'd have to place him around 50. But the point of it is that I wouldn't say that they're just obsessed with LeBron James. They just are obsessed with basketball, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think they have their own. Yeah,
I'm seeing the Filipinos on YouTube that are heavy LeBron. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe I'm only seeing them. But
Well, the algorithm is always going to push LeBron, and I'm just glad that people are waking up to the fraud that he is, because, I mean, like I said, he's pathological. I mean, like, you really think that our memories is that short when we didn't see you popping champagne in Vegas last year, and now you come out and say, well, the in-season tournament never meant anything. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
when did he say that?
Well, I saw a meme. I saw, I shouldn't even because I like to get a guy quoted, but I saw a meme or something that said that he said that. So I didn't really watch the press, because usually I confirm it. He say it?
He did in a post game interview. He said something about we won that championship, whatever. He said something along the lines of like whatever, because he was talking about the team being healthy and being whole. And the last time they were healthy and whole, they won a championship.
Come on, he's 40 years old. 39 years old. Why is he making these excuses? Come on.
I
Like,
mean, listen, we know
honestly,
that he
the
said
Lakers.
for certain that the play-in tournament was a joke. He said whoever came up with the play-in, is
Until he needed it 3 years in a row. Yeah, until he needed it 3 years in a row to make the real playoffs.
Exactly.
You guys are talking about a man that deletes tweets.
Yeah.
I think that no matter where you are in life, unless you're applying for a job, hey, if you delete tweets, that's such a sign of weakness. Especially if you're affiliated.
Listen.
Like you don't have. It's crazy.
When we talk about being an adult, when we talk about being a grown-up, and once again, what do grown-ups and adults have in common? They say what they mean, and they mean what they say. So if you're going to tweet something, then make sure that you know what you're saying and you mean what you're going to tweet. Once again, these guys are stupid, man. You think that people don't screenshot this stuff, it's not going to come back? You think you got rid of that? You're like the people who commit crimes and think that if they burn their laptop, they've hid all the evidence from the FBI. Oh, I got rid of everything. They're never going to find out I did it. You people are idiots, man. It's out there, man. It's already done deal, man. You left the trail. These guys do not stand on anything.
Obviously, know that there's a historical trail there, but we go back to the consequences. When have they ever had to suffer? When have they ever had to suffer?
They
It's
don't.
like you said absurd shit. You had to backtrack. Well, they didn't backtrack. No one made them backtrack. The press never made them backtrack. Their contracts weren't revoked. Their endorsements weren't revoked. I mean, and their fans are still there making excuses for them. It's not that they don't know somewhere in the back of their mind that people can screenshot. It's that they can do whatever the fuck stupid shit that they want, and there are no consequences.
You know what I think it is? I think that they think it's like the legacy media. I call it the legacy media. They think that we have such short attention spans that we're stupid that we won't remember what you said. I remember stuff from 30 years ago, like to the detail. Remember when they made the Russell Westbrook trade and he made that tweet where everybody was saying how old that team was and he made that tweet, you're talking about my squad, keep the same energy, right? And he deleted the tweet, and that team went on and won 33 games with 5 Hall of Famers.
Yep, that's the exact tweet I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to respect. I was about to respect him for actually standing on, and he deletes the tweet after 45 minutes later.
Corny. It's corny.
I was going to give him a house of respect. Now, of course, I knew that team was dog shit. I mean, like, that team had 10 shooting guards. When you look at that opening day roster, they had 10 shooting guards, 10 guys that play shooting guards. Russell Westbrook was the only center. Then you had DeAndre Jordan, Howard, and AD as the only centers. And then, basically when AD got hurt, their season was over. That I knew that team was going to be dog shit. But he deleted the tweet and then blamed Russell Westbrook for everything. And I'm so happy that Russell Westbrook is contributing to the Denver Nuggets because I'm a big Westbrook fan. I know people don't like him. One thing you like him or hate him, one thing you cannot say about Westbrook is he cheats the game. That man plays I've seen that guy get a knee surgery and come back within 2 weeks and play. It's an arthroscopic thing, but anytime they go on your knee, you got to be out for a month, 2 months. He came back within 2 weeks. And that's the same season when he went 22, 12, and 12. Russell Westbrook, he's not John Stockton. We get it. But he doesn't cheat the game. He gives us everything. So he's contributing to the Nuggets. They righted the ship and, But Russell Westbrook, he completely threw Russell Westbrook under the bus because we all know the issue was that LeBron, you trade 3 starters for Russell Westbrook, yet you refuse to come off the ball. You refuse to let Russell Westbrook run the point guard, and that's where that team was dead in the water. In addition to the fact that they had no shooters, no size, they were old as dirt. But that's your boy LeBron James.
He's got to be at the top of the list of the people I least want to be dunked on by. Like when he dunks, it's terrifying.
When you talk about the consequences for some of these players or the lack of consequences, when we think about LeBron James, the consequences of what I mentioned earlier, when I talk about LeBron James go out in town and get booed, those are the consequences right there, man. Because of the way that you carried yourself throughout your career, now the public sees you for what you are. Like my man just mentioned, people are starting to open their eyes. So now when you go to the Super Bowl, they boo you in the Super Bowl. They're not cheering and celebrating you. And what happens? What's the result of that? LeBron James asking for his respect during the championship. Oh, I want my damn respect. Because he's starting to understand. He don't get that respect because people are starting to give you that, not the love that you want. That's why LeBron James have his wife come on stage and call him the GOAT. Because he's insecure, man. Because of the consequences that he's got over his career. People burning his jerseys when he left Cleveland. Those are the consequences that we're talking about. Yeah, you're never going to make them broke. You're not going to stop buying the jerseys. Remember, like you said, Airways, there's millions and millions and billions of people out here every year. People being born, those are new LeBron James fans because they continue to pump these narratives. But like I said earlier, that's why we're here now. That's what the point of everything is, to set the record straight. So now more and more people are starting to realize this dude ain't that guy. So whenever somebody has a conversation and they say, oh, is LeBron James greater than Michael Jordan? People say no. I talk to kids all the time. I work in a school with first graders, second graders, third graders, fourth graders. I ask them, yo, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. What? They look at me crazy. Michael Jordan. They know now. They understand. There's no like, oh, LeBron James. I don't see his jerseys. No one's wearing his sneakers. These are the consequences.
It's a confusing one because you mentioned him getting booed in one instance, and yet despite everything that he's done, he can show up in Cleveland with his bullshit nepotism son and get a standing ovation. I mean, you understand why it's confusing to me? It's like they
That's why
love
it's
him.
called mixed reviews, AOH. Mixed reviews. Yes, you might be getting cheered in that instance, but who knows where you go at another town and you get booed. You talked about an ovation at his hometown. But what if he goes to New York and he's going to get the same ovation? No, he's not AOH, and you know that. That's why it's called mixed reviews. When Michael Jordan goes to New York, when he goes to Cleveland, when he goes to Indiana, when he goes to LA, when he goes to Florida, when he goes to Texas, it's the same reception. The same reception. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, when you talk about these guys, it's the same things that they're saying. It's the same reception. It's the respect that they've earned from the people around them.
Robin, they don't even rock with him in his city. That's not even his city, my bad. They don't even rock with LeBron in LA. That tells you everything you needed to hear.
Remember, they vandalized his mural the first day that he landed in LA. That's called mixed reviews. That's called they don't respect you. Remember, Kobe Bryant has over 300 murals, not in the States, worldwide. Worldwide, over 300. There's no vandalism on any of them. That's called getting the reception equal around the world. The respect that you earn from the people. It's irrelevant to where you are ranked all time. This is what they were talking about. That's the consequences that LeBron James suffered from. He goes to LA and they vandalize his mural. You think he doesn't feel that? Yeah, he feels that. That's why he'll fake vandalize his home for the attention. That's why he'll fake read a Malcolm X book, because he feels all the heat that he's getting. That's why he's to pay people to speak for him.
Well, I want to add one thing about that. It's because it's with him. It seems in respect to, I think that he is the biggest. He had the biggest heel turn in NBA history with the decision. Because before then, I was a huge fan of LeBron. I wanted to see him do well. But then ever since then, it seemed that he embraced it at first. But then he went back to Cleveland. I don't know if it was David Stern / Adam Silver saying, hey, we need you to be the face, not the heel. But I don't think it's ever gone away from him that he is the heel of the league. He is, I can't think of a wrestling guy, maybe Ric Flair. I'm not saying he's as cool as Ric Flair, but in respect to that,
Triple H.
Hell no.
Triple H, Triple H, the constant heel. The point
Even
of
with
it
the
is
water
that,
and the baby powder, it's similar.
yeah. But the point of it is
That
that
was good.
he is on top, but nobody likes him. Or I don't want to say nobody, but most people are like, yeah, this guy, he's a heel. He's a bad guy. He sucks because of the decision and other decisions that he's made otherwise. And it's funny that it seems from the outside looking in. I feel really, if I had to think about it, outside of his own ego, I don't think he really would care that much because he's still getting attention from it and the money. He's a billionaire. Now, the only thing that I could think that he cares about is his ego. But the point of it is that I think it's funny that people even think of him as a face, per se, a good guy in the league, when he's done all the things he's done. He's the lead of the league. But if I had to say anyone was the face, it's got to be Steph Curry. And I think there's that, and that's something that I've argued over time, is that Steph Curry is the face of the NBA in respect to being the good guy, per se. But LeBron James, you can argue, gets more. I think he gets more attention. But to say that he's the face, I think is inaccurate.
Dart, are you even a Steph Curry fan? Are you a big Steph Curry fan?
No, I'm not a huge Steph Curry fan. I'm
Okay.
actually not a huge fan of the three-pointer. I think
What
Steph
made you-
Curry is greater than LeBron, though.
What exactly makes you say that Steph Curry is the face?
The
I'm not
babyface
arguing.
assassin. They always,
You're saying that
Well,
it almost sounds like you're saying he should be the face, or it would make more sense for him to be the face, and people are
no,
buying his
well,
jerseys.
that's the
but-
thing, is that I think he's the face. I just think it cut out for me if I interrupted you. I apologize. When I'm saying the face, I mean the good guy. I think that if anything, LeBron is like
You're calling him the Captain America of the NBA. He's the hero.
Yeah,
LeBron might get more viewers, but half of it's hate, right? So
Yeah, but see, the problem is that what we're talking
face, not really. Like half of his attention is how much people hate him. I agree with Dart in what he's trying to say.
Oh, I'm not even
Yeah.
disagreeing with Dart. I just want to get the context because, like, if you, not even a big Steph Curry fan, still think that Steph Curry is or at least should be the face, but the league is continuing to promote LeBron. Whenever a league pass
There you go.
ad pops up on my screen, they're
Right.
showing me LeBron James. Why? I thought you were done with him. No, they're not done with him. In fact, if they gave half the marketing to Steph Curry that they give to LeBron James, we might not even be having this conversation. It would be clear that it was Steph Curry as the face. Hey, look at ESPN's handling of the decision. It was so gross that most analysts couldn't quite contain their disgust in it, and yet ESPN was happy to air it. An hour fucking long of this guy lying through his teeth about I woke up this morning with this decision that he's been planning for fucking years. They stood behind it. They stood behind it. Obviously, they were invested in LeBron James, whether they wanted to be or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if I can elaborate, I want to go say this a little more. Remember, too, right? LeBron came into everything as soon as he got here day one, right? He was the chosen one, shoe deals, etc., right? Remember, Curry defected to Under Armour, which at the time was like a big risk. At that time, too, I don't know how true it was, but there was rumors like he liked to put Bible verses and stuff on his shoes, I think. And I think that might have been like kind of part of the reason he defected to Under Armour, because they said, we don't care, do what you want.
That's true.
Yeah. And then he's always also, him and his daughter, I feel like we're kind of like this feel good, humble, his daughter's like really cute, brings him on. I don't remember LeBron doing that with his kids per se. I knew that he was very involved in their athletic career, but it wasn't quite the same as like this, wholesome, feel good, kid comes on and is cute and you can tell they
Something you
have a
can
good
relate to.
family. Yeah, and LeBron, I think, has almost tried to backdoor that a little bit with the whole Bronny and the NBA thing. Again, it doesn't come off as natural, right? And I think a lot of people kind of resonate with Curry, right? He's a lot more to himself and not as, out there, again, the whole taking a risk on Under Armour and all that kind of stuff. Like the Captain America analogy was very, very good. Just made me think of those other things.
Yo, look
Curry
at Nick
also
going with the
looked
heat,
like he
man.
was
That was a
having
good
fun.
take, Nick. I like that take, Nick. Look at you, man.
Good job, Nick.
Curry has fun playing basketball. You can see him enjoy the sport. LeBron just plays football out there and then complains. He doesn't look like, nobody on the Lakers looks like they're having a good time playing basketball.
Exactly. Except for
I
when
like
LeBron
that take
sits
that
out.
you made about the kids, because it's appropriate for someone like LeBron James, because LeBron James has used his children, his family, as a prop through social media. He's promoted his family, and he does TikToks and he's on Instagram, and he promotes this stuff. So you're right. He never really had that, that scenario or that moment where his kid was up there on the stage and on there and making a thing and blah blah blah. See, when we think about Michael Jordan, he always kept his family, his personal life separate from what he was doing on the court. So you would never expect to see Michael Jordan's kids or to really have that moment. And I think that's why whenever Michael Jordan had a human, so to speak, moment, like when he cried and things of that nature, it was almost like, oh my God, Michael Jordan is actually showing emotion to us, because he never really showed that kind of side of himself, So I think you're right on the money. I think, Dart, the point that you made, when you talk about when we're talking about being the anti-hero, let's say, so to speak, of LeBron James, that's part of the consequences. He kind of made himself the Venom, so to speak, right? He's like the Venom. Venom is an anti-hero if people don't understand the comics. He's not Spider-Man, right? He's the anti-hero. He does good things, but he does it in a bad way, right? He has bad intentions, so to speak, right? He's going to kill the bad guys. He's not going to keep them alive, so to speak, right? But when you think about LeBron James, he's not comfortable being the anti-hero. He wants to be liked. That's the problem. So what happens? He makes the decision, and the consequence to that is now you're not liked as much. You're not the hero anymore. You're not Steph Curry. You're not Captain America. Now you're the Winter Soldier. You're not the same guy. So you're not going to get the same love. But because you made that decision, you have to live with that consequence. But for LeBron James, he couldn't do it. See what LeBron James should have done is earn back that status, so to speak, by going out there and ignoring all of the hate and all the criticism and all the negative people burning his jerseys, and just went out there and played the game and not made excuses and not been that guy. But he couldn't do it, man, and that's part of the problem.
Real quick on the Jordan humility. I was gonna say real quick, going to play baseball is also took a lot of humility from Jordan. You're gonna tell me you go from the best player in a sport and you're gonna go play in some farm team, like whether you think he went there because of the mob or not, right? If you wanted to, you could just sat out 2 years and then stayed in shape and can't come back, right? He went to go play a totally different sport he knew he would not be the best at, and he gave it his all. Like that is also a little bit of humility as well, I think.
It's also confidence because he knows he's the GOAT of basketball and he's just going to go enjoy himself. LeBron is insecure. I don't think LeBron James would go to another sport and allow himself to be seen as not being able to do well that well at it.
But AOH already said he could play tight end in the NFL. Isn't that good enough?
Right. Well, exactly. He'll talk shit and he'll never be there. And that's part of the problem. But you guys with the hey, I'm going to be the anti-hero part. The issue I have with that is I don't think I've heard analysts really embrace him as the anti-hero. What I hear is, oh, look what LeBron's done for the league. LeBron has carried the league. He's done so much for the game. I mean, and he hasn't, but they continue to say that he has. I don't think that they portray him as an anti-hero. I think they continue to try and pretend that he's a great guy despite all the bullshit that he's done.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I think the only aspect, I think you're right, AOH. I think that they don't promote that. I think the only aspect that we can think about that they do promote that would equate to an anti-hero, so to speak, is that he's the victim. So you start to feel bad for the anti-hero. Why? Because no one understands the anti-hero, right? They don't understand Venom, right? He's a complex character. Some of these other people. So they think that we don't understand LeBron. Oh, listen, LeBron James has no help. It's not him. It's not his fault that he's doing things a certain way or these things are not happening for him in his life, right? You felt bad for Matt Hardy or Tom Hardy, excuse me, when you're watching him portray these characters. So you want sympathy. That's what they want for LeBron James. They want sympathy all the time. He's always the victim here.
Real quick. One example to me that almost rivals the decision as embarrassing is LeBron flat out took advantage of Kobe's death. Nobody has the guts to say it. Nobody has the heart to say it. But he took advantage of Kobe's death and he used it as this way to make it seem like him and Kobe were best buds and all about this competition when. That was not the case. People that have been alive long enough can see that was never the case. A, and B, for him to stand there on the center of the court and have this note and say, no, I'm going to go off the top of my head, blah, 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 and tear this note up with all these theatrics and all this. I'm just thinking to myself, who falls for this? This isn't, you know what I mean? This isn't a movie. This isn't like a play. How can you sit there and let this man, why didn't somebody say, yo, what was on that note? Read what was on there. Because you can't. It was probably one of his daughter's drawings or some BS. Because the whole thing was fake. The whole thing was just to make the Lakers seem like we better win it for Kobe. None of those players gave a crap about Kobe, and they're getting Kobe Bryant leg tattoos, Kobe Bryant thigh tattoos. That's because it's easy to get a thigh tattoo because nobody's going to see it. It's just such low-hanging fruit that you can pick apart, but nobody seems to talk about it in the media.
How about the Redeem Team documentary where that whole scene with the birthday bit? And Kobe's like, who the fuck are you? But LeBron LeBron had an opportunity to, have the camera be on him and pretend like there was some sort of relationship between the two of them, and it might be the most significant portion of the entire Redeem Team that LeBron had to do with because he was shit. He without Kobe and without Dwayne Wade, they would have lost again.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just got a message from Scap, and he said he went to drive to things.
Derek Fisher.
He went to. I guess he's driving back from a Thanksgiving venture. And he wanted to let everyone know he wanted to join today, but the drive that he's on is ass. So
okay, man, endanger
Happy
everyone on the road.
Cap.
What's up, AOH?
Nothing. That's another smart ass of mine.
No, he was talking about driving irresponsibly.
I said he should endanger everyone on the road and just find his way through this StreamYard shit.
Yeah.
Also,
Next
can I
time for the-
pause it real quick? Hulk Hogan's heel turn to me is more comparable when he went to NWO. That's just me.
Yeah, that's right. Triple H was a bad guy from the get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. I like that one.
Shawn Michaels, maybe.
Well, listen.
At least
Actually-
Hogan had swag, though, man. He did it with flair.
You know,
When-
I
when,
accidentally watched.
yeah.
I accidentally watched that McMahon bit on Netflix, and I don't even watch wrestling, and they managed to draw me in. It was kind of interesting. Did you guys?
Oh, it's
you guys
fascinating. Yes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hogan seems like a real piece of shit to me.
Ah!
You said the Ric Flair documentary. I was putting the headset on.
No,
McMahon.
about Vince.
Oh, I
About
watched it.
Vince.
Yeah.
You're
That's
fired.
I didn't make it to the end. I think when he married his daughter or some shit like that, I finally turned it off. But
I didn't. I guess I didn't make it that far.
they were gonna do something like
That
that.
would have stood out, I think.
Yeah.
I gotta get going soon, guys.
Yeah, the medicine store closes soon for me.
I mean, look what we're talking about.
The medicine.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for joining in the chat. Thank you, Cameron Peterson, for the $2 Canadian with the Dexter
Yay.
avatar. Appreciate it. And also, next time there's a technical difficulty where a lot of these guys weren't able to stream their own channels. If you came just looking for the show in general, thank you for coming. If you usually watch it on Sports and Fitness Rants or AOH's channel, they should be able to do it next time that we have this. I messed up on my end, so you should be able to see it next time. Anyway, with that, yeah, thank you, Chad, for coming. Last words for anybody, NMB? You got anything for the people?
Well, I'd like to
fun as
plug.
always.
I'd like to plug Steam Engine because he's starting his racist show this Wednesday. All racist topics. I don't. What time does that come live? Steam?
9-ish
AM or PM?
Eastern Standard, 9-ish around thereabouts. Eastern Standard.
Okay. Depending on medicine stores hours.
No, I would never. No, I'm not a dependent person, so.
Yeah, and check out Steam Engine as well. He's streaming live here, and same with
I was
NMB
muted that whole
Sports.
goddamn time. Hey, what are we doing? What are we doing Wednesday for our show, Precision Hoops? Also,
Who are you asking?
Dart
Yeah.
and Nick, whoever, somebody.
What if NBA players were wrestlers, who would they be?
Let's do it. I'm there for it. Let's do it. Let's do. Oh, that's fantastic.
I didn't hear the topic. You guys from 3 weeks ago still haven't done the biggest bust in the NBA. So I didn't hear what you said, what the topic was. But what was the topic that you wanted to do? Cut it out for me.
If NBA players were wrestlers,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Listen, I think that's great.
that would be hilarious.
We're not that far from that being basically what they are at this point.
Touche.
All right, I'll set it up for y'all. Robin, you have anything for the people?
Oh, man, listen, it's great show once again, guys. Like I said, I had a great time seeing you guys again, man. I know it was away for a little bit. Once again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there. I hope they had a great vacation. Shout out to Scap, for reaching out during the show. Once again, shout out to my man Speen for coming through. Nick, of course, the czar of the video footage, AOH, Dart the Ringleader. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you for donating to our channels, to supporting our Sunday live stream. Once again, guys, it was a great time, man, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Good Dart.
Speen, you have anything for the people?
Peace, love, and chicken grease. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I told you.
Hey,
I'm
wait,
not
you got anything for?
Just pretend that I said what Sports and Fitness Rant said. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Just
All
start
right.
doing me last from now on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's smart.
We'll pull you down. Yeah.
Hey,
we'll
all
pull you
my
down last.
My last few videos that have actually gotten like a good number of views, they're all demonetized. So send me a donation.
Yeah. Well, this is something on a sidebar is that AOH and Robin, I think you guys might be interested in it since I got you here. I have the ability to do giveaways. So I think that maybe we can talk offline a little bit more about it, but we can maybe start doing some giveaways of some of our merch for some of the loyal subscribers of ours. I'll get with you in detail about it. But yeah, essentially you just got to sign up for it. I did it recently with this trivia championship. You just sign up, you give us your email, and then we're able to contact you afterwards about giving you the prize. It's something I think that might be good for everybody, especially for the subscribers that are interested in getting a free T-shirt or however we decide to do it.
All right. In this live stream and tell us about it.
All right. And for everyone, thank you again for coming. And Michael Jordan fans are the best.
LeBron James is a bitch.
Gonna have to edit that part out.